I am Elcke. I am studying at Stellenbosch University. I'm currently in my last year. I'm 20 years old and I'm here to tell you a bit about myself and my story. Hope it can inspire someone. First off, how it is to be a student in this day and age. Personally, I love being a student. The rumors of it's the best time of your life is true. It doesn't mean there isn't any hardships necessarily, but really fun. Especially because I feel like I can totally be myself.
Do you feel pressure to live up to a certain expectation, whether from family or friends or society? How do you navigate those pressures?
Oh, 100% I feel pressure to live up to certain expectations, whether it's my own or my family or whatever. And it's not like the expectations are necessarily put on me from a malicious intent. You know, expectations from society to look a certain way, to behave a certain way, whatever their opinion on what a woman should be, you know, that pressure it's a lot. Especially if you're still very young and unsure and trying to figure that out. And pressures I've put onto myself. I'm someone getting emotional right now. Lol. Wait a minute, give me a sec. So, I have gone through quite a lot. I always have this saying that I live by, is there's a reason for everything, but not everything's an excuse. Which is very true. But unfortunately, if you've been through a lot, and it doesn't matter how strong you are, because you are still human and you're allowed to feel, not a person that likes to share personal information a lot. But at the cost of even just one person being inspired by it, it is so worth it. So the most significant challenge that I have faced in my life is deciding if I want to continue life on this earth or not. And I'm getting emotional again. Yes, that was the biggest challenge that I have ever faced, was to decide if I am going to take my life or not. And it was really hard. I have to say it was really hard to get through that. And there is a lot of details that obviously, you know, mesh into that story. But in the end, I worked through it by asking for help. And that, when you're in that headspace, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. Especially if all your life you've been told, don't tell anybody about this, or, you know, you're overreacting, you know, just keep it to yourself. If you have been told to be silent your whole life and be told that you are weak for asking for help, then that is a very, very big challenge to overcome, to decide that you are going to start asking for help. And it wasn't an easy road, faced many challenges, but asking for help and admitting it and, you know, being straightforward about it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made, because I wouldn't have been here today. And unfortunately, I had to ask for help multiple times before I got help, because a lot of the times when you ask for help from loved ones about something like that, because they love you, they don't want to believe it, or because they love you, they don't want to think about you going through that. So as a Christian, I'm not at all, you know, ignoring the power of prayer. I think it's very powerful. And whatever religion you may be in, you will also, you know that it's powerful. But, you know, it can't just necessarily fix things like that. It doesn't ignore the fact that you also need help. It's not prayer or help, it's prayer and help in a sense. So yeah, one of the most difficult things for me was to, reach out for help. It's insane for me that I kept asking for help, because usually what happens in a situation like that is if you ask for help once and it takes so much courage to ask for help, you don't want to open up about it again. I feel like I have to keep asking for help because I don't want to make a decision that I'll regret. It sounds very sad because it kind of is, but with going through therapy and working through all the things and in the end, getting meds for PTSD and stuff like that to work through it, because you can't just get meds, you also have to work through it at the same time. You can't just, get your meds and not do the shadow work. Going through that and really putting the work in, because you can't just ask for help, you have to kind of, try and get through it as well with the help that you get. I got through it. I don't know how. I have no idea how I got through it, but it's like, and it's the only way I could describe it, it's like having tunnel vision, and you're seeing like this light at the end of the tunnel, and you just constantly go. You just go. Even if all you have in you is to stand up in the morning and go to bed at night, you just keep going until you can reach that light. And it's very hard, and sometimes you feel like you can't wake up in the morning, you can't do what you want to do, you want to go back to very negative thoughts, but even if brushing your teeth is all that you can do, you do it, you keep going through that tunnel to get to the end of the light, because I love life now. I love life. I have such a joy and appreciation for life, for living, and I've always had that, but if I didn't ask for help, I would have never realized that, hey, I am worth staying here, there are things that I still want to do, there are things I still want to experience. I know it sounds cliche, but it does get better. It does. And even if you don't believe it, you have to keep telling yourself it does get better. So the way that I got through it was obviously asking for help, and keep asking for help until I got help, being so determined to get help that you get it in the end. And it's very difficult. I think that's a bigger challenge than trying to decide if you have to stay here on earth or not, is actually asking for help, but doing everything you can to get to that light at the end of the tunnel. That's how I got through it, and in the end it made such a big difference. I mean, I accomplished so many things that I never thought I would accomplish. I learned so much about myself. I got to meet so many new people, so many people I would call my family, and if it wasn't for me just trying to reach for the end of the tunnel, I wouldn't have known what was waiting for me there. So I was grade 9. So when I started getting flashbacks of things that happened to me, I think it was from age 4 to grade 7, so I think that's 12, right? And also, just for parents, sometimes when your child doesn't talk to you about things, it's not because they don't want to. Sometimes they didn't even know it happened. Sometimes trauma and stress or whatever, your brain blocks it out to protect themselves. And that's what happened to me, and I started getting flashbacks in grade 9, and I was like, what are these things I'm remembering? What is going on, and that obviously dragged me down. And so grade 9, that is, so 14 is very young. So basically how it happened is it's been like, I think almost 2 years probably that I've been out of that constant, survival mode. What happened when I was in a safe environment, I wasn't in the survival mode, my brain stopped blocking out those memories. Then I got these flashbacks. It's literally your brain remembering something, and you then start hyperventilating. You feel like you are back in that moment, and it's the first time you consciously recognize what happened to you. And because that happens and you are so confused and conflicted, it turns into like a panic attack, and getting anxious. And because that starts making you feel hopeless and everything, then that leads to depression, you know what I mean? So me being like, I think from grade 7 to grade 9, being in out of that constant survival mode of just my brain's just trying to block everything out and get me through it, you know. Especially if you're young, you don't even know what certain things are that are happening to you. So that's why it's PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So PTSD has to do with flashbacks and things like that. So,
Correct.
I won't say the core thing that caused all that was necessarily depression. Whatever. Depression was just a result of all the anxiety and feeling hopeless and being like, I don't know what to do. I've been asking for help, and I don't want to experience this. You know, I don't want to keep living these memories and not know, relive them, and not know if I'm just crazy, or, you know, and things like that. So the depression wasn't necessarily of you don't want to live. It's just you don't want to feel pain anymore. You know, you don't want to feel anxious anymore. You know, kind of.
You just wanted to go away.
Just wanted to go away already. Like stop now. So yeah, especially because it's not like like anxiety and something. It is very common, especially in today's day and age. But it's not something that is very much talked about. That part of it, you know, being so you're very unsure as well. Social media plays a big role, where especially very young children, I'm talking about primary school children, where they have access to social media and they delve into emotions and things that they don't even understand yet. They can't even verbalize it, but because they want to be so grown up, because that is how social media is projecting itself to these young kids, like, you need to grow up, you need to be adult, you need to you know, it gets to this weird point where having mental illness and going through a very, you know, deep thing
is almost glamorized.
It's glamorized.
I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I actually wanted to ask Elcke, in conclusion, advice. Do you have any advice for parents or for students, parents of students or young teenagers or even younger children, but to the parents and maybe something to your fellow students?
For the parents, loving your child is not avoiding their struggles, because you want the best for them. Loving your child, if you don't have to be scared of your child going through something and avoid it. The moment your child talks to you and asks for help and you don't listen, don't expect your child to share anything else with you. You need to listen, and you need to validate their feelings. Not necessarily their actions, but their feelings. So that's something serious for the parents. And your child going on medication and going through mental stuffies is not the end of the world. Doesn't mean they're incompetent, doesn't mean they'll never be a happy child again. Just means they need a little help, and the best person to give it to them is you. Also, you cannot fix your child. That's another thing. You don't have to fix your child. You just need to love your child, and give them the resources. That's the best you can do, because parents, you will never have all the answers, and your child won't expect you to have all the answers. They don't think you have all the answers, so you don't have to fix your child when they ask for help. Don't put that pressure on you as well. Don't feel like you failed because your child is depressed. It's not your fault, I can promise you. Well, sometimes, but I'm just saying, depends on the context, but stop putting pressure on yourself to fix your child. Especially if you also went through a few things and your child is going through something similar, and you've worked your whole life on that with that child to not have them go through what you went through. Don't, because you have unresolved things within yourself and you don't want to face them, take that privilege away from your child to face them and grow through them and work through them. Because sometimes trauma is generational as well. Now, for the students, you know what? Just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath and be in the moment. Don't take life so seriously, so early. You're young, be young. Be young as long as you can. Don't take life so seriously. Don't do it to yourself. It's not that deep. And for people going through something similar, feeling how I'm feeling, having struggled, just asking for help, do it. Do it more for yourself than anyone else, because I promise you, you asking for help will have a butterfly effect of sharing that it is okay to ask for help. And I'm not only talking to women here, I'm talking to men as well. I'm talking to everyone. It does not make you weak when you ask for help. You are strong when you ask for help, because when you ask for help, it means you have been strong for long enough on your own. But you don't have to be strong on your own at all. Ask for help. That is my little piece of advice.
Thank you ever so much, Elcke, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the wisdom. And I just love the energy. I want to be young again.